Structure. Subject plus had plus past participle. When to use it. To describe an action that happened before another past action. It shows which event came first in the past. Examples from this story. He had died 6 months ago. Died before the story begins. She had kept his number in her phone. Kept it from the moment of death until now. Someone had been in the house, was there before she knew. Every time you hear had plus past participle in this story, notice how it describes something that happened earlier than the main story moment. The message arrived at 3:14 in the morning. Elena was asleep when it came. She did not hear her phone vibrate on the nightstand. She did not hear anything at all. She had taken a sleeping pill at 11, the kind her doctor had prescribed after the accident, the kind that pulled her under the surface of consciousness, and had never once failed to hold her there until morning. So she did not hear the message arrive. But when she woke at 7 and reached for her phone, it was there. A voicemail notification. 11 minutes and 43 seconds long, from her husband's number. Her husband's name was Joel. He had been a high school geography teacher who made terrible puns about tectonic plates and genuinely believed they were funny. He had driven a 10-year-old silver Volvo that he had refused to replace despite the check engine light that had been on for 2 years. He had made coffee every morning at 6:15, had always burned the first batch, and had never admitted this to anyone. He had died 6 months ago on a Tuesday, on a road he had driven 1,000 times, in weather conditions he had navigated 100 times before. Elena had kept his number in her phone. She had not been able to delete it. Every few weeks she would open the contact, look at his name, and close it again without doing anything. His name still there. Still present in the small rectangle of glass she carried everywhere, as though the phone had not received the news. She stared at the voicemail notification for a long time. Then she pressed play. For the first 4 seconds there was silence. Not dead silence, the silence of a room, with the small sounds that rooms make. A faint hum. The distant sound of something settling. The texture of a space where someone was standing. Then his voice. Elena. She had not heard his voice in 6 months. She had watched videos on her phone. 3 of them, the only 3 she had. But she had stopped watching them in February because it had made the mornings impossible. His voice on the voicemail was quiet. Not a whisper, quieter than a whisper. The voice of someone who had not wanted to be heard by anything except her. I need you to listen to everything I say. Don't stop the message. Don't put the phone down. Listen to all of it. Elena sat up in bed. She pressed the phone against her ear with both hands. I had been trying to reach you for a long time, he said. I had not been able to find a way until now. I don't know how much time I have before this stops working. So I'm going to tell you everything quickly. She did not move. Someone has been in the house, he said. Someone had been coming in before you changed the locks. I had seen him. I had watched him come in through the kitchen window, the one that had never locked properly. I had never told you because I had not wanted to frighten you and I had thought I could fix it myself. The kitchen window. The one she had never been able to get repaired. The one she had put a piece of wood in the track to block it from opening. The one she had meant to call someone about and had not called anyone. He had been in the house at least 4 times before you changed the locks, Joel said. I had watched him go through things in my office. I had seen him take something from the desk. I had not been able to see clearly enough to identify what, but I want you to go to my desk today. Bottom left drawer. I had put something in there before I died. I had put it there because I had known. I had known something was wrong. I had felt it for weeks before the accident. A pause. The room sound on the voicemail, that settling hum. The accident, he said, and his voice dropped lower. Elena. I need to tell you something about the accident. I had been on that road 100 times. I had never had trouble on that road. But that morning someone had moved the safety barrier at the top of the ridge. Someone had taken it down and had left the edge completely open. I had not seen it until it was too late. I had not fallen asleep. I had not lost control. I had done nothing wrong. Elena had not remembered standing up. But she had found herself in the middle of the bedroom floor, phone pressed to her ear, feet cold against the hardwood. Go to the desk, bottom left drawer. Look at what I had put there, and you will understand who had been coming into the house. A sound on the recording, not a word, a movement. Something shifting in the room he had been standing in. Then his voice again, very quickly. He is in the house right now. He had come in last night. Elena, he is. The message ended. 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Elena stood in the bedroom for a long time. She told herself there was an explanation. That someone had hacked Joel's account. That the voicemail had been sent from a stolen phone. That grief could make a person hear things in a voice that the voice had never actually said. She tried to believe these explanations. She walked to Joel's office. The desk had been exactly as she had left it, exactly as it had been since the day he died, when she had sat at it for an hour and had not been able to touch anything. She had not opened the drawers. She had not moved any of the papers he had left stacked on the surface. She pulled open the bottom left drawer. Inside was an envelope. Her name written on it in Joel's handwriting, the handwriting she had known for 14 years, the particular way he had always made capital E's with an extra horizontal stroke, the slightly leftward lean he had never corrected. She opened it. Inside was a photograph. A man she had never seen before, photographed from a distance, walking along the street outside their house. The photograph had been taken from the office window. In the lower right corner, Joel had written a date, 7 weeks before the accident, and a name. And below the name, in the small, careful handwriting she had known for 14 years. He had been watching the house for months. I had followed him. I had found out who he is and what he had done before. I had tried to go to the police. They had not believed me. If something happens to me, take this to someone who will. Elena looked at the photograph for a long time. Then she heard something downstairs, a sound she had not made, a sound the house had not made on its own. The sound of the kitchen window, the one she had put a piece of wood in the track of, the one she had never properly fixed, sliding open from the outside. She did not move. She held the photograph in both hands. She stood completely still, and she understood, with the absolute clarity that arrives only when there is no longer any time to be confused, that Joel had known this was coming, that he had tried to warn her, that he had found a way somehow from wherever he had been for 6 months to give her what he had not been able to give her before he died. Time. She took her phone from her pocket. She had already dialed before she had thought about dialing. The phone rang twice. She looked at the photograph in her hand. She read the name Joel had written, and she gave that name to the person who answered. The man was arrested 4 hours later. He had been in the house. He had come in through the kitchen window, exactly as Joel had said. He had been in the basement when the police arrived, a basement Elena had never gone into since Joel died, a basement she had avoided without fully understanding why. The investigation established several things. It established that he had been watching the house for a long time before the accident. It established that he had tampered with the barrier at the top of the Ridge Road, that he had removed it on a specific morning and had replaced it before anyone had noticed. Almost before anyone had noticed, a maintenance worker had reported it slightly out of position but had replaced it without filing a report. It established that Joel had been right about everything. What the investigation did not establish, what nobody has been able to establish since, including the detective who had worked the case and had spent years thinking about it, is how a voicemail 11 minutes and 43 seconds long was recorded and transmitted from a phone that had been at the bottom of a ravine for 6 months. The phone company had no record of the transmission. The voicemail was in Elena's phone. She has kept it. She has listened to it many times since that morning, not only from grief. She has listened because at the very end, in the half second before the message cuts off, in the moment after the sound of movement in the room, and before Joel's voice says he is in the house right now, in that precise half second, she had heard something she had not noticed the first time. She had heard him breathe, and it had not sounded like a man who had been dead for 6 months. It had sounded like a man who had simply been somewhere else.